Good afternoon. This is the Towns and Finance Committee meeting. We'll call the meeting to order for 3 p.m. As we have remote members, we need a roll call of people that are present.
Okay, Geraldine Bazigas?
Mark Hussey.
Sam Grant. I don't see Andrea up there.
She left.
Oh, okay. And Don Hayes present. We'll give Andrea just a minute to see if he comes back in. In the meantime,
Okay, Don, if you could sign in with your own computer, then I can give you the screen sharing capabilities.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Don, you are now in and you now have screen sharing capabilities.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hartley.
You're welcome.
Okay, so continuing with the agenda, I need to make the announcement that this meeting is being recorded, and as well as being broadcast on Channel 9. At this point, additions or deletions to the agenda, I do not have anything additional to, and no additions but deletions. There are no reserve fund transfer requests that were submitted, so that item will be passed over in the agenda. Okay, so that's all set. So the work session on the agenda, the ClearGov budget software, I leave that in there in case anybody has gone into the software package. We're not using it at this point for FY24 preparation, but it is still there. We have logins. We can still get it and use it. So just if anybody's got any questions,
There's no information in this still though, right?
there's no information still, so it's about the same.
Mhm.
So we can maybe move that off the budget until off the agenda until we get into past annual town meeting, so that we don't hit it. And then as we have more information from ClearGov, we can move forward with that. Okay, next is on the agenda is the omnibus budget review. Just gonna go on the budget and see.
Which one are we looking at today?
This is the one that we had last week.
But this one's highlighted, am I right?
This one will be highlighted with the changes.
So what number?
Okay, so, okay, so let's,
You're gonna have it up on the screen, I think.
Okay.
yeah, I'll have it up on the screen, but if you're, we can identify
Okay.
the lines,
All right.
and the differences. It's kind of like, so, okay, so we got a filter on here somewhere. Oh, that's just the changes. Okay. I just wanted to, I was doing calculations. So if we go to the omnibus budget that we had, the identifications that we start with the Board of Selectmen. Oop. I got your thing. That should do us.
with
You know, I
that,
saw one on there that I hadn't really noticed before,
Yep,
and that one is, number 4.
the auto
Yeah,
allowance,
who is that?
that is for Eric.
That's for Eric, okay. All
So
right.
that's town administrator
Okay,
auto allowance.
all right,
And again, we can see from prior town administrators, it dropped $1,200
okay, yep,
year over year, so Eric is taking a reduced.
okay.
Jerry and I were just talking about this 25,000.
Yeah. Okay, which is highlighted, that's,
Now, if I understand correctly, that's for, a ride a couple times a day from down here behind us to, the train station.
to intermodal down in
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
the station, so.
I think it's a great idea, just my opinion.
Mhm.
It's $25,000. I don't know how many people would use it, hopefully a lot, but at the same time, when we're scraping so much for money, it's $25,000 we didn't need last year, we don't have to do this year, but if we find 5 or 6 $25,000,
Mhm.
such as this, we gotta look at it.
Yep, understood, I agree, something also to check in, if it was gonna be ARPA funds or not, and again, it may not belong in the budget at this point, it's not any,
Because it could be opera.
it could be ARPA, and this is a trial, if it's successful and we want to continue it after those funds, or it may be a grant,
Right.
but at
Why is
this,
it in here? I mean,
because on the Saturday, we were having the meeting with selectmen, on the March 11th meeting. They were asked to put it in. It's kind of like, so
But we didn't know whether it was ARPA or grant, right?
at this point, there's no notes in here. If we look at the community services coordinator and the human resources, we can see it says paid by ARPA funds.
It is paid by ARPA?
well,
Well,
those are,
those
two
those
positions.
are lines 7 and
So we have to assume that this is not ARPA funded.
because there's no notation.
Correct.
So we need to.
So that's
we need to check.
something currently.
Yeah. So let me insert column. We're gonna say, if,
Are we having a parking down there too, if 15 people
No.
show up?
I think they were thinking about doing the lower parking lot, would they?
yeah.
Low parking.
They-
Up at the trestle?
No,
It's right down here, I think.
just on the other side of the grass. So
Oh,
you come in the other way and
yeah.
park down below. So.
But I thought at one time, the recreation was gonna use that. What happened with
Well,
that?
When are they gonna put it center, some type of gym?
Fitness.
Or did that not go through?
I thought it did.
Well,
Is it down there? I mean,
No, I think the
no,
funding.
I don't know exactly, I don't think they can't be used in the same space.
oh, I know, yeah.
So we have to determine, I believe they were talking about at the end of the road, the dirt, what would be the dirt lot down the end of
Oh, all
Fifth
right.
Street.
Where the trestle is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, so I think that's where
okay,
recreation was thinking, not out here on the other side of the
Okay.
town hall
all
parking.
right.
And so I think it's separate, but, putting finance committee, with potential. So we have a question for.
In parking lot, okay.
Um. And I guess my other piece is details. It's kind of like, we hiring a driver.
Right.
Like, is that another salary that's gonna be here somewhere? It's kind of like.
I don't think we'd be hiring. I think that would come through,
As part of the 25 grand. but
right,
Without, who knows?
Right,
we
so,
don't.
Right, and it's kind of like, and if we're gonna make a recommendation, we wanna know details behind this.
Yeah,
Was
speaking
there-
about recommendations,
Yeah,
when are we gonna write those? Is Andrea gonna write them? Are you gonna write them? Are you and Andrea gonna write them? Or is Andrea there?
I don't see Andrea, yeah, kind of,
She must have taken away.
Maybe. She didn't feel well last week.
I have written them and Andrea's reviewed them
Okay,
in the last
all right.
couple. So it will either
Either or.
either or, and the other is to bring it to the board so that we see what the recommendation.
Well, and I think that, it's important this year that, you do give good recommendations and why or why not
Mhm.
just for the general public to see them.
Yeah.
Because there's a
Yeah.
lot on our plate this year.
There is a lot on the plate, and I was also considering a recommendation section by section.
Okay.
On the budget
All right,
itself,
sounds good.
rather than just say we recommend the budget.
No, we can't do that.
No, so I think, for finance committee, we need to take it, explain what, why we're either recommending, vote for or against.
Is the warrant finished?
The warrant is
Have
gonna
we-
be finished tonight.
So we'll see it next week?
We'll see it next week. Yeah, that's why.
The numbers won't be filled in though, right?
The numbers will be filled in except for snow and ice
Yeah.
and maybe one other.
Okay.
But we will have a pretty complete warrant, and
Okay.
maybe by next week, we will know what the snow number is. But again, like last year, we got ready to finalize the snow and ice number, and we had one more polish. So this is New England. We will watch it. It's kind of like, this is, we're looking for,
Yeah, and it just came up, it's kind of,
yeah, I think, now, having been on the master plan, I understand that this was one of the items that came out of the master plan, was rather than try to have a rail station out here or
Mhm.
was to do a parking
Right.
ride.
Yeah. And it really, honestly, kind of makes
Yeah.
sense, but
It makes sense.
Bad
It's just
timing. just
Right,
that time.
it's just bad timing to bring it in.
Right.
And like, and so we can,
And could we ever make it so that it paid for itself? I mean,
well, that's the piece,
main-
my understanding at the time, it is, let's, and we'll go into the details. What's the plan? Is it a pure expense first year, get people used to it, then start charging for it?
Yeah, right, are they getting charged for it?
So that it does self-fund.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, if you went to park your car someplace to take the train, it's gonna cost you some money.
Right.
Sometime.
Right, and it's kind of like, and how many,
There's a lot of,
depending on the use, it's kind of like, is Pittsburgh the right place, or is, Air?
for sure.
Or even Leominster.
Yeah, right, so, but at the same time, it makes sense to me, because not only can you go there and get the train to go to Boston, you can get buses around Pittsburgh and travel.
Someplace
to go
else,
someplace else.
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
why the intermodal
right,
stop is a good
Mhm.
piece, but that would, probably, you don't want to go there and have 2 drop-offs in the morning and 2 pickups in the
exactly.
evening. You might have to do a midday something, so the people aren't waiting.
Right.
Well, not everybody wants to get up at the 7 o'clock
Right,
train or get into Boston at 8 o'clock. A lot of them wanna get.
Or
in
just
the
go to Fitchburg and wait the rest of the day to come home.
to come
Yeah.
home,
You know.
yeah, so, if we're gonna sell that line, if we're gonna support that line, we're looking for more details
Mhm.
on all the pieces of it. Okay, so that's expenses on Board of Selectmen. That was one of the lines that have been added to be the difference from that set. And again, the 2 salaries that are listed in here, are funded by ARPA money. And it should include health insurance also, so we need a good accounting of ARPA fund money, what it's paying for. And short term, this is the FY '24 budget. Longer term, when ARPA funds are no longer available and we have to pick this up with the operating fund, so we're going to be able to do that, so. I have had discussions with Eric regarding a 5-year look forward, so that we can put in these numbers, see that the ARPA funds going away, and how will we be able to absorb that amount of money or will we be able to absorb that amount of money into the operating budget?
We need to think on it.
Now we're into FinCom.
Does that number look high to you? I mean, I don't remember.
Well, we upped it 10 grand.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, I mean for dues and
Oh,
membership, is that normal? I mean, is that
Looks out.
that's the normal, the 750 has been there.
the what, hasn't it?
The 750 for dues has been there.
But it says dues and membership, $40,000.
No,
No,
that's
750.
What's underneath? What is
That's
that?
the reserve fund.
Oh, all right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's where it went up 10,000.
Okay.
That's where it went up 10,000
okay, reserve.
is the reserve fund. So we have not used much of the 750. But I want, we do have dues with, the, MMA
Mhm.
and pieces, and there is even a conference coming up that requires, a dues, a co-payment to attend. So if we're going to attend some of these conferences and things, that money is there for us to be able to do that and keep up
Okay.
with changes in finance and laws. They go over lots of different pieces of it. And again, the base, they have, learning and tools available for us to learn about all the different aspects of finance. Pieces. And we're looking at the 50,000 this year as an increase. Again, that's like a 0.7%
Right.
of the budget. So it's an increase, but it allows us.
It's a safety too.
It's part of the safety, and by having a little bit of safety money here, we might be able to cut into some of the other budget lines and some of the other budgets and say, if you spend all that money, the reserve fund is there for it.
Right.
So that we start using the reserve fund, what it's truly been used for.
Okay.
And so it's a start. I'm doing comparisons, to other towns. We are running, low on this number. And so I need to understand, percentage wise, the percent of the operating budget is lower for towns. And we haven't been there, but the numbers and the number of times we're being asked to look at the reserve fund, the bills are just a lot higher these days.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, now I haven't taken any votes because Eric said there are changes on these. I just want to go through
Okay.
as quick as we can,
Yeah.
identify lines where we may have questions. And again, this is still in a bit of flux until we vote on it and get contracts and things, as we approach accounting. Sam, are you able to see everything okay?
Yeah, it's beautiful. If you got you're raising the
Yeah, we're raising our reserve. fund.
reserve there. Excellent.
Yeah.
Does the budget, I mean, does the intake income justify that?
I believe
For me, this has always been very hard to comprehend because it's hard to balance what people are asking for, what departments are asking for, and saying, yeah, that's a cool idea. I agree with the 10 grand increase for the availability of necessary, reserve funding. But this other side of the coin is, I can't balance that against the bottom line. In other words, I don't see it going all the way down and, to the bottom and saying this is what's, available to divide up amongst all the departments.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Okay, so let me just do a quick sort of calculation here. And let's see, this year, I'm just gonna use the rough number. We are $26 million budget this year. And so if we compare, we are looking at raising this from roughly an eighth of a percent
Right.
to closer to 0.2% of the total budget. So we're not looking at a big line, but the idea there is if you budget more closely on the lines and you run out, this line is here to support trying to get closer to actual numbers in the budget.
Right.
And again, yeah, it's kind of like, so I believe it supports it this year. And
Okay.
I'll pull up the revenue numbers. Let me see if I can go there. Quick. Eric had just forwarded it to me. And we'll pull up a little bit. So the general budget fund that they're expecting is the 26,394,636.
That's the intake.
That's going to be the output.
What's the expected intake? I know it's a Ouija board, but still, we have some idea.
So
Tax levy.
so that's 20. I'm going to have to, let's see if it's summarized further down. No, that's just an illustration. Okay.
Okay.
So you get 20 cherry sheets are going to be another 2,277,000 going to be local receipts.
Right.
And then these are the numbers, and ambulance receipts, so it looks like there is enough money in the budget, or there's enough revenue to support this piece of it. I have to get an exact number. This obviously was the first time I've seen this sheet.
Okay. Well, at least you got some numbers in front of us.
We've got some numbers, and again, so we're hit the levy limit, but we have an excess capacity. This is where we're maybe looking at, staying with looking at the override. This-
Right.
This 12 million that that is,
You're not gonna get an override.
well, no, I know, it's kind of like, similar to last year.
You
So,
have a better chance catching a star.
yeah. So we do have the, again, we have, looks like about 27 million when the budget is gonna be that,
Okay.
26
Yeah.
million, and the expenses are sitting at 26,304,000. So, I'll get the exact numbers, plus and minus,
Yeah, if everybody's sharpening their pencils properly, and we're all keeping an eye on how sharp their pencils are, it's
Yep.
nice to be able to advise them in a sense, or at least let them see it on their own, that
Mhm.
there is, in case of emergency, a bit of a fallback available.
Right, and when we had the meeting on the Saturday, the chief even thought it was a good idea to do that, because then each department would not be putting a guess, I guess I'm gonna have something that breaks down and I'm gonna need to have 5 or 6,000.
Right.
So by doing that and eliminating that 5 or 6, $10,000 per department, we come down to when, you put a more reasonable amount in every budget and see there, and then we need to monitor it and see how much we're using. So, sorry, I mean, I'm spending a lot of time on finance committee, but
Thank you.
we'll get there. It's kind of like, but at this point, 50,000 seems reasonable, but we'll see how much we get, tapped on that this year. So in FY24, when I say this year, and I mean next year, but we'll see what the requests are to come in at the end of the year, plus the transfers. Okay, into accounting. There was nothing that changed from the Saturday meeting. Sam, you weren't there here. When we look at the accounting salary, the idea here is to hire a body that's going to be in the office.
Right.
As sort of an town accountant in training. And so that 30,000 is offset by professional services increase of 40,000. The idea here is that somebody that is certified through the Melanson team is going to be our official town accountant for making sure that everything we do is according to municipal accounting practices.
Right.
And the person that would be in the office will be taking direction from that person from Melanson.
Right. That's a good idea. Yeah, we talked about that before.
And that person eventually goes away, the extra person.
The idea is we train that person over years to become a certified town accountant, and the contract to Melanson will go away. Yeah.
Right. In other words, the more they know, the more they can do, the less that Melanson can do or needs to do, until Melanson's not necessary at all, assuming this person stays here that long.
Correct.
Yeah. Yep. So that's why it looks like a plus and a minus, but that's, it's kind of like we've taken 30,000 out of the top and added 40,000 into the bottom.
Right.
So. Okay, so no other questions on accounting, and if we get, again, the final tweaks are gonna be, when we go through the votes, where we put the Board of Assessors, is no changes, also from that Saturday, so, in the raises are a total of 4%, 2%, for the step and 2% for COLA, the cost of living adjustments this year. And we have a funding for the revaluation is required by law. So that's why there was no money in either 22 or 23, but it is there for 24. So that's something that will pop up this year and go away for next year.
Mhm.
And then again, we're,
Don, you'll have to excuse me for a minute. I'll be back in 5.
okay,
Thank you. Keep going.
we can keep going as a working session and no votes.
I'm not voting yet anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so no other questions on Board of Assessment? Okay, treasurer collector,
Wage, cost of living and,
Well,
wage, cost of living, and looking at what they're saying that the 2023 budget had a wrong value in there.
it hadn't changed since 20, oh, yeah, wait a minute.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so,
$20,000, yeah.
well, it's kind of, so if,
Is it?
okay, let's do the math. So what I'm looking at here is a 6.5 and an 8. So we'll just do the treasurer collector.
I don't know.
So what this is telling me is in the FY23 budget, they and the 79,331 is not accurate.
Well, I know how to get it to Hulu.
It is not accurate. That was more like,
I watched the
80,
video. I know how to get it to Hulu Drive.
80.
I know how to get it to.
Wait a minute.
Oh, the actual
Are
23.
you looking at number 76?
I'm looking at line 76.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we look at line 76, right now, this is saying it's a 6.53% increase. What the note is telling us is the amount in the FY23 approved budget that we had signed off at town meeting. That number was correct.
It was 81.
By how much?
It was about 81,000.
Yeah.
Well, by how much? 80?
It's off by about 2,000.
Okay.
Yeah, so that makes sense, 79, 80, 81.
So if I change it in the cell here, the 81,331, it's not 79, the raise amount is 4%.
Well, so,
So,
Yeah.
79,331, is that what you said?
81,331 should be the number we're looking at in
For 20,
for 23.
for 23?
which
Yeah,
makes
so-
24, right?
81, okay,
So the difference is, yeah,
all right.
FY24 is the right number. The wrong number is what's in the budget for
Okay,
showing this FY23.
We must have paid the 81, huh?
Yeah.
sure we did.
Yeah.
Rate
So-
that up someplace.
Yeah, if I go in and look at.
Oh,
I'll get the other
water.
one. Yeah,
under the bridge.
Gotcha.
yeah, and the same thing on the next one, that,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
The next one should be what, should have been what?
let me see if I can,
Probably the same,
Well, that was
2,000.
Probably 1,000, okay?
no, it's a little more than that because it's a little higher. So,
But that's what the cause was.
but that's what the cost
Okay.
is
All right.
bad numbers.
Okay.
So the bottom line is correct.
Yeah, bottom line is correct for FY24,
Okay.
and the FY24 column is right, but that's, if anybody's looking and asking why we're getting different percentages when we talk about 2% step and 2% COLA, and these are not, it's kind of like we have to identify it.
Good jump in postage with it.
it is what it is. Treasurer has to send out, yeah, I mean, postage has gone up, and as has the meter, but, excise taxes, tax bills,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that sort of things.
Warning notices.
Warning notices, all of those pieces are causing it to go higher.
Okay.
Longevity, travel and state. Okay, sorry, I'm jumping around.
Anything else seems pretty much normal.
Okay. Yeah, and
So the next line looks okay.
well, the legal, so far this year, that's running, the night, pay for that's line 94. Again, no changes. We're gonna do 75, and I believe we're running about 50% at this point.
At this point, 60?
Yeah, about 60. So well, 60%.
Right, I got it.
It's, we're running, our run rate is pretty good on that. We seem to
Well,
have,
it's April, we gotta get to
we have,
June, July. We'll be all right.
so we should be all right. We have, a bit there. So now comes the big one, big change.
This was 101?
Starting at line 101,
Mhm.
management information system.
Yeah, okay.
MIS, we don't have an MIS director, we outsource everything. The salary for the technician is going up just a bit. That is a stipend for somebody in-house that will triage,
Mhm.
problem, so that we don't have to escalate it directly to our contracted provider. So they become our single level of resource. They're trained, they get, as they learn about problems and see them fixed, they can identify them, they become more knowledgeable, so we're getting more and more knowledge about that. The purchase services line, 106, is where we're seeing the big jump.
Wow.
Again, if we look at where we are today, we have totally used up all of that 72,000. We're going negative on this line.
Oh,
The 125 is getting us to reality of what it costs to truly do.
So what are we buying?
We are buying a contract for a specific number of hours for them to support us a month.
Okay.
1 day a week on site, guaranteed with it. And if they need to be called out on site, they will be called in. They get called on demand as needed. And along with it, if we don't use up all of our hours on a contract, they build into a
Carry-on?
carryover that can be used for projects. So we're not, if the less we use
Mhm.
of our hours, the better chance we have of doing larger projects without having to pay extra money.
But we've already gone over, you said?
This year,
This
yeah.
year. The 72 will run over. So,
So we're hoping the 125 will.
well, wait,
Cover it all?
the 125 will cover it, because when we did the 72,
Yeah,
we had gone over it the year before. Again, the historical stuff, we had servers that broke, and
Yeah.
we had a lot of reserve fund transfers,
Yeah, I remember.
for servers. And so the IT budget has always been, it has been up.
okay.
It's kind of like, so this is the attempt, to come in and manage the IT budget, a little better than, we have in the past. And the replacement equipment line is also going up by 7,000. Again, this is something that we have not been good at, is
What
retiring.
number is that?
That would be 108.
Okay.
Yeah, so, 108's going up by $7,000. We are starting the program of replacing the computers every 5 years so that we have a
And we
cycle.
staggering them like,
And so if we replace a fifth of them every 5 years,
yeah.
it's kind of like, that's where the piece is and that's where this number is coming out. That, we will constantly have
New equipment.
new equipment. Well, if you can say, there's
Refurbished.
Better.
better equipment, and you'll have, a computer should last for 5 years, life expectancy on them.
Mhm.
That's a good amount of life expectancy on computers. So,
What about miscellaneous communications? Just curious
Yeah.
what that is.
I will get a closer, look at it, but my understanding is this has to do with our website. We pay the 11,500 a year to Civic Services to support our existing website. And so the miscellaneous services is for the changeover. There should be a warrant article for the upgrade of the website to a different vendor. And then moving forward, the 15,000 is for the new
Webmaster, whatever.
yeah, the web. And again, they provide additional services, that Civic Services.
And again, you can see that it hasn't gone up in the past few years.
Right, yep. Yeah, so it looks like a bigger jump, but when you average it out, it's, in line. Okay, any questions on MIS? No. Sam?
No, thank you.
Okay, town clerk.
Well, it doesn't look like too much to change.
No, it's always pretty plain.
Yeah,
Where's postage? I hope she doesn't have postage though.
her
Did she go up?
her postage is up on.
Oh, yeah, okay. I see.
But that's for town clerk services, dog licenses and things that
Right.
they would do in the town clerk office. And again, there's no yellow, so there's nothing that changed from that Saturday
Yeah,
conversation.
we will know this.
Yeah. Elections, you're probably gonna see postage here as well, on line 141.
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
That's,
mail-in votes.
Those
yes,
votes, yeah.
yeah,
And you know, it's like, we send them out, then they carry them in their hands.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so there's self-addressed return envelopes.
And they bring it up.
But they bring them in
It's like 83 cents per envelope that we send
For
out.
postage?
because of the size of
Yeah.
What's inside of it,
Yeah, it's kind of, the way, as you send it out is,
and they come back.
and then they come back with it, so. So we have nothing on the town clerk, but, as this goes, the top line is the elections for the staff is coming down because we have one less election that year.
Right.
Again, this is FY 24, which is gonna include, and the reason for the advertising and postage, is that's gonna have a presidential, that'll be a presidential year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So not only do we have our annual, we have, primaries in the March timeframe, and then we have September.
yeah.
We might have September and November elections.
Well, that took care of it.
For that, so those are the numbers, and that, and again, the postage is coming in this time. And repair and maintenance of equipment, this is staying at 1,300. This is for the software for the poll pads, which are the computers used to check in. And we will, when we get into our longer term planning, 2 years out, when ARPA money is gone, this number will about double, and that'll have to come out of operating budget. But that should be somewhat easy to absorb. It's only another $1,300.
So did you say 24 is the last year? Or the year after? At
It's
some
gonna,
time.
Let me know email.
mm,
I think everything has to be in this year,
everything's gonna be in by December of
this year. This year or next year?
next year.
Next year.
And so that means FY20, I think it's FY26 is the last year, or halfway through FY26, it
Yeah.
all has to be used. So we'll see those pieces. Next piece also related is town clerk related to the elections, that the registrars, these are stipend for the registrars, and again, that's a 4%, staying with the 4% increase for that position. I believe there's 3 registrars. Next, town clerk street listings. The street listings, has gone up because of printing costs, have gone up, paper costs, everything associated when printing those, has gone up, and that's why the increase in street listing. Okay. Any questions for that section of the town clerk's budget, which is election street listing in the town clerk? Okay. Conservation. This is line 162 in the budget. This was a change from the Saturday meeting. They've done 4 additional hours per week, which raised the salary from 20,500 last year to the 27,000.
Did that make a full-time person, or was that just a part-time person? Must be full-time. Part-time, I don't know.
That would be a part-time person for that.
Even with the extra 4?
Yeah, and
Did they keep it
again,
under 19?
yeah, the 4 additional hours is paid by offer. So when we look at it, and that's probably the difference year over year, but because we're including the full offer money, so we get a bigger picture of it, that's why we're seeing such a big jump.
So does that include health insurance? I guess is the question. Did it put them over the, what is it, 19?
It's gonna be over 19.
It's good. Yeah. Conservation agent. We get the pieces. So that was a line of change. Nothing else has changed from Saturday. The rest of the conservation support staff is the same. The clothing allowance is $600 per person. And the Conservation Commission had no materials and supplies numbers, so they put in $500 for that next year. And it's the increase in the expenses in conservation.
No professional services? Oh, no, stayed the same, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
stayed
sorry.
the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next line is just a single line with the expected dues to be 3,250 for MRPC this year. by staying in the MRPC, they are able to do work for us and, continue to provide us a lot of data and information for the work we've done in the region. Nothing. Okay. Any questions, MRPC? We'll just. Good. Okay. Planning board. So we have the support staff. And that's just typical increase, no changes from Saturday meeting. That's, longevity is kicking in. Does you do work for two departments?
I'm sure he has one.
Okay, wait, okay,
I'm not sure.
that's just a question then. Because if I'm looking at this, I question if this is full longevity, paid from one budget or if it should be split between two, but, oh, as long as there's not a double dip, then we're good. In the planning board, professional services, dues and membership, no changes in any of the expenses. So planning board is pretty much,
Yeah.
doing the raises to the standard and the employees getting longevity. So no real questions there. Zoning board of appeals. Yeah,
That hasn't changed much.
no, that's again, same.
It's that COLA and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, here's land
Okay.
use there.
Yes,
Let's see.
is land use. Okay, so now we have a land use administrator position that has been posted.
Oh, they don't have anybody in there right now.
They don't have anybody in there right now where it's posted. This is a posted position. And so they're trying to move it to 40 hours.
So there's no longevity in there.
There's no longevity.
Right, no, well, I mean, because there's nobody in there.
Right, and the administrative assistant,
Right.
does not.
So that doesn't come back on them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Thank you. And there's line 214 on land use administrator under expenses. Training was put in here from the Saturday line. Again, we are trying to get to that point of people are trained well and can do the job and can pick up additional skills and provide value to the town by taking classes and having additional training. So it's a good piece, and let's see if they get it.
Okay.
Facilities.
Did this change much from the original
I
or?
don't think it did.
This is not changed from the original,
Right.
when we don't see highlighted in yellow over on the left side of the
Right.
screen from, that would be my indication that I found a change from
Mhm.
Saturday. So this has not changed.
No.
We are looking at, the administrative assistant going from,
Full-time, right?
not full-time. This would be going from 2 hours a week to 10 hours a week.
10 hours, yeah.
To help with the administrative tasks associated with facilities. The same person is moving to 20 hours in
Highway.
the highway department, which will then trigger the health insurance and benefits. Yeah, so again, between the two departments, it's kind of like it's an additional 20 hours over last year. So, and I'm sorry, Aaron, I have seen, Sam, if there's anything you want, it's kind of like, I'm looking at my computer, I'm not looking at the screen of people in the meeting, so if you have a question, please speak up and ask, it's kind of,
The professional services went way down. Do you know why?
What line are you on?
3.6.
Well, 226 went down. 236?
okay, 236 professional services went up by 6,000.
Oh, I'm just reading it.
You're reading the change column?
Yeah, I'm reading, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So that's the change, so that's increased.
So what number was that again?
That's 236,
226?
no, 236.
236.
Yeah, the facility professional services went from 31,410 to 37,692.
Well, did you notice that the 226 went down because we don't
Yeah,
have that
the-
person anymore?
Um,
Was that the,
yes, so that was, it's identified as the COVID, so
Oh, clear, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
that was, and with that, there's no additional work that was funded and closed as
Okay.
part of the, complement. The energy line, just so that we hit them.
Oh, yeah, so.
Yeah, that's okay. It's kind of like, so we're looking at the facilities energy line. This year, FY 23 is at 76.5, and next year it's going to 125. The reason for that, again, we did increase. Let me scroll back just a bit so we can see, 22. So, when we did the 23, we did not increase it enough to cover the increases from Unitil. When we look at it through February bills, we were right at the 76,000 already, so we still had the March through June bills for that. So the increase is to cover the energy
Unitil.
Unitil bills. Yeah. Across multiple facilities.
Yeah.
It's not just, it's in the facilities, it's not just town hall. All the ones, covered by the facilities.
No, the town got a new supplier. Is that happening yet?
It is happening. We have a new electric supplier. And I believe the rate is 21 cents a kilowatt hour. So it should be less than the Unitil. So we're seeing some value there, but
when is that when does that start?
I think it started in January.
So we're already getting it?
We're getting it now. Yeah.
Be curious to see how much it says.
It's right. And again, that should be easy to calculate because we can go back and look at kilowatt hours used and multiply by the difference of what we were paying for what would be paying. So that.
That's all justifiable.
Okay. So. Okay, so, and again, the note in here, if capital request for vehicle is approved, we're gonna see changes we're gonna have lines that adjust. So
We're gonna have what?
lines that adjust.
I think you already did with this draft, didn't you?
So if we look at line 241, that's gonna be vehicle supplies that you gas.
Right, well, what's the auto allowance?
The auto allowance
Was when he used
was
his own
when he was
vehicle,
using
right?
his own vehicle.
Right, so that's been scrapped.
We have a drop.
Auto allowance.
thank you.
Yeah. So there are associated
down.
lines depending on what capital budget is approved or what lines.
Yeah.
So there may be adjustments to this that we need to keep a close eye on to make sure that, if we do purchase the trucks, that the appropriate lines are added and
Yeah.
subtracted. Yeah. Again, the net's about even, but it's gonna, we do have to watch it. Just-
What's,
Yeah, go ahead.
okay, you're saying that there's a possibility that extra 3,000 comes out of capital?
No, so, let me see if I can get both lines on here. In a couple. So if we look at, and highlight the auto allowance.
Yeah,
And then, sorry, down a little further. Then we have this line. So if we don't approve the capital request for the vehicle, line 228 will jump back up to 6,000 for fiscal 2024.
mm-hmm,
We're paying a stipend to
right,
the facilities manager right now. And so the idea is that the stipend goes away if we purchase a car, a truck. If we purchase the truck, the 6,000 a month there goes away on stipend, but we have to add lines for vehicle supplies and maintenance, which is going to include your oil changes and gas and those things. And eventually when you need tires, it's going to need to cover tires also. So depending on how the vote on capital planning budget goes, there could be a potential impact on how this budget is submitted.
mhm.
So as we close on the warrant articles and things like that in the final, we will have to get them in there, and also depends on how the motion goes for capital budget at town meeting, whether we have to be ready to make a change to the budget for facilities.
Okay,
So again, it's sort of an either or process. It's either going to be a stipend or it's going to be repurchased and it's going to be vehicle supplies. So should be relatively easy adjustment. We know the two numbers and we'll be able to do that. So that takes and facilities ends the general government section, and see if we can take the total. It was, okay, yeah. So the total for general government is going to be the $1,875,860.
The 1875.
1,875,860. So that's the number with the adjustment.
With the adjustments, yeah,
Right. Yep.
okay.
Okay. Safety, police. There was one change from the Saturday line, line 260 in the budget, the stipends for the Quinn.
260, okay.
Yeah, the stipends of the Quinn went down to 71,321. So that line is up 921 from last year, but it is down from the budget we saw on the Saturday.
So it's up.
So it's,
Well, it it's up for the year over year, but it's down.
It's not what we had.
Okay.
It's not what we had on that Saturday.
Okay.
It's kind of, I think they found that there was a typo, turned out to do $10,000.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 81,321 on the Saturday. And so they adjusted it from being an increase of 10,921 to being the increase of yet 921. Okay. So we're down by that, amount. No other changes. His energy and water is up a little bit to cover for the increases. Again, they were doing well. So the police total is now going to be adjusted by $10,000, and it's $10,000 lower than it was. So it's now the $1,772,761 is the correct amount for the police budget. But again, if anybody's comparing to that earlier version of the budget, it's $10,000 lower. Fire in EMS. Again, just to identify line 289, their operating lieutenant, it was 0 last year because the position was funded by ARPA last year. Now it's into the operating budget with no ARPA offset in that. And the position was.
So in 2 years, it went up to almost $30,000. It was 64 and 22.
Now it's 91.
Now it's 91.4.
It's a $15,000.
Yeah.
That's a good jump.
And I think that had to do with,
Is that what we were paying with ARPA money?
no,
Realignment.
it was the realignment last year, the FY23 realignment, created this position.
So I guess,
It's being filled, and
were we paying 89 or 90 last year with ARPA money?
I have to look, but, I believe that sounds like the right number. Yeah. And again, we see online 290, 292 and 290 on the staff. The per diems is decreasing by 128,000 with a full-time position coming in for the EMS coordinator. So we have a full-time person hired with, so it's again, offset of money, moving it from one place to the other, but having a definite person you can count on being here as an employee rather than a per diem staff.
So do we have 2 captains?
I believe we have 4.
And that's what at 227?
I'm sorry, that'd be 2. I suspect that's
290.
290. I suspected 2. But
But it certainly doesn't say it.
Mm.
So how do we know?
yep,
So let's question that then.
Yeah. we're looking for the staff plan.
I'd love to just get a tree out of it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So hard to understand what the hell's going on.
You know, if it would just say how many people it was, it'd be so much easier.
Yeah, well, that would
Yeah.
help too.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a column for.
They certainly got a bunch of people.
So that we're looking for to understand the year-over-year changes and where it goes. so that we can better understand the moves and the assignments.
Okay.
And we had asked for that on that,
We're gonna keep asking, I'm
we're
sure.
gonna keep asking, yep. We need to have answers.
I can't hear you, John. Sorry, what did you say?
We had asked for that on the Saturday, we haven't seen it.
Okay.
I'll check with Eric and see if he's received it, if it was submitted to them, because I think both the selectmen and we had asked for it, so that we can see. And again, we're comparing it to the other departments where we can see year-over-year changes. And expenses wise, there was just the hazardous waste collection increased by 1,000, and I'm sure that's.
What happened to- 293, what happened there?
That hasn't been funded for a year.
Yeah, it was last funded in fiscal year
Who does their,
22.
who does their mechanics? Well, where does
Yeah,
that show?
that might be outsourced. It probably goes up in professional and services. And expenses. But again, more details.
101,000, that's pretty steep.
It is, but the fact that you're disposing of hazardous waste, I think,
Where's that?
line 321, the hazardous waste
Oh,
collection.
But-
Um,
Where's the hazardous waste come from?
321.
Are you talking with what produces it, or?
Yeah, where's it produced? I know nothing about this, so that's why I'm asking. In other words,
Yep.
should have, obviously I see across the line, I should have known, but I missed. The numbers look like why I missed. But now it jumps up 1,000 and it's easy to catch. But what hazardous waste disposal? Town hazardous waste? Community hazardous waste?
This would be associated with fire department, so I'm assuming when they
Okay.
have
Hazardous waste day?
well, no, that would be under the highway department.
Oh, okay.
This would be when you have a
Spill
fuel
or something
fuel
like that?
or oil leakage.
Oh, okay.
And they have to
Clean it up.
they have to clean it up. They now have to
Okay.
dispose of it, so,
Okay, well, that's excellent. We should be disposing, with a bit of care.
right, yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, and
Fine.
that's what it, and again, we look at it, it went down in 2023 and it's going back up to where it was in FY 2022.
Right.
So, we just take a look at the expense line, make sure it's proper. We can look at what's been expended to date.
Excellent.
Okay, great. So, and the only other expense that is, it's a new requirement for, reporting. And so there's a new line specifically for, reporting the patient care.
What number is that? Where is it?
Line 337. Yeah, there's a long list of lines for expenses on the
Yeah.
fire.
$327, you said?
337.
37.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'll be right back. I gotta check my daughter feeding the horses alone.
Okay,
I know what I do with my hat.
anyway, 18, yeah. We're only halfway there, okay. Emergency management, We still have the budget here. My understanding was that fire department is taking
Taking
over
over.
this function. But I don't know if that means this salary goes away.
Probably stays under that.
It stays under the separate, just in case maybe we
Yeah.
hire, yeah.
So the whole budget remain? Maintenance of equipment, office supplies, or we just Xing this out?
That's,
Is that reflected in the budget here?
I
Them
don't think
taking
so.
that over?
I don't
no,
think it
this
does.
is, we're, I think they're taking this line, but again, they may, where it's underneath, they may leave it as it is in the budget
That's
and
too
just take over the function.
Yeah, okay, I see.
Yeah.
But the salary may go away. That's-
Yeah. Okay. Communications, this would be the call center. Patriot Call Center. So we can see that we have no direct staff. Everything is an expense now, and
Public services up 70,500.
Well, maybe we should quit, just ask about that.
get the details behind it, because other
Nice.
services doesn't describe this. This is actually the service of that Patriot performs for us. This is the dispatch service, the
Right.
911 service,
Right,
but it doesn't explain it very well when it says other
Right.
services.
Right.
That kind of,
200, 208, 208, 278.
that was a big jump there, so.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a short explanation, but.
Right, but I mean, it's just,
We'd like to know.
it makes you wonder. You know, if you don't know, it's not.
right, yeah. Okay, so that's, being the big line that it is.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the piece that I would expect that we're a little painful with them, which is regional Patriot. Okay, communications center, okay, so building inspector, again, no changes from this, well, one change, line 394. The building inspector training, had been submitted by the building inspector, and it fell off the earlier version of the budget, and so this training, again, for the building inspector.
So it wasn't on the last budget,
It wasn't on the last budget,
just to be clear. Yeah, no, that's fine.
yeah, it was not on the last budget we saw, but, it was on the original department budget submitted.
Okay.
And so that was just an oversight that it could drop. Ken goes with the same thing, train the people, train the staff, and, have it better. Because if you're gonna get training somewhere else, you go there. Okay. No changes to gas inspector, plumbing inspector, sealer of weights and measure.
Eric Gosnell still do that?
Wait,
No,
Eric.
Eric,
Alternate. Oh, Eric.
Oh, alternate, I'm sorry, alternate, yeah.
So who took that over?
I forget, there was some young work after they come in and. No, I'm joking, it's kind of.
Well, that's
I mean,
okay.
there's something, I go back to my metrology days, I forget who his name is, but, I think he does 2 other towns. It's just like Eric.
Probably, yeah.
I think, the services that Eric
Good thing,
provided,
yeah.
he found an apprentice and handled them.
Good
So
thing.
I don't mean,
Yeah, $5,000 a year, you need 2 jobs.
Yeah. yeah, exactly. It's kind of like,
Three.
but Yeah, depending on which town you go to, you could see Eric's sticker
And
name.
name all over the
A
place.
lot of the stickers when I was pumping gas. So that continues with the standard for 4% markups, and it gets small amounts in his expenses. Electrical inspector, no changes. Animal inspector, is a job posted if anybody's willing to inspect animals. There's a little stipend position out there available. Hit the wrong button. We're gonna get back. Okay. Come on. Come here.
That's not the same as a dog officer, is it? This is,
No, it's
No.
different.
yeah.
It's different. You go out and count cows.
Didn't one of the Kings do that recently?
Potentially, so the animal inspector was the stipend, and that's the 630. The
Right.
animal control is the outsourced position for your animal control.
Right, dog.
And again, the percentage increases just fall in line with the pays. Tree will be with tree wood, the same. Burial agent, it's a stipend for the position, and it's kind of,
$6.
yeah. Parking clerk is going up by $3. And like, about half the money, it's kind of like half the raise. And so that takes us to the total public safety total to the $3,847,052.
Okay, here we go.
Yep, okay, here we go with schools. Take this off. So at the current time, we have in the budget listed a $315,000 increase, which is a 2.7% increase over FY '23.
So, we came down from the 8th,
This is what's in the budget because with proposition 2.5, we're saying 2.5%
all right,
is
okay.
what you get. So
Okay.
in addition to this line, we have an override listed on the budget, on the ballot for the annual town election of $812,366. So that's what would need to be voted. So when we look at the difference, that would be a total of I'm gonna rough it, 1.3 million increase year over year to the school budget. So you'd be looking here at FY '24 if that override passes and we pay what the school has assessed us, that this line is going to be more like 13.2 million. And again, we don't want to put that in here. We are going to recommend the 2.7% increase is what we go with for them. And if the town does not vote the override, if the town votes the override, we come in and adjust this line, adjust the budget for the year for that additional money. Going forward.
What do they do if we don't?
If we don't and other towns don't, it's kind of, I believe the school has to come back with another budget.
No budget, no.
And then
And it can come back the same.
it can come back the same. They can come back and with the same and try to get it again. But the town people will have spoken at that point. And it's gotta be all three towns. So it comes down to,
It'll have to be 2 times.
two town majority, either
Right.
for or against.
Right.
And then, so however it goes, if the other two towns vote the budget vote the school budget as a set. Towns that have to come up with it, and then we have to find $812,000.
Anybody got any input from the other two towns? Has Eric spoken to them, what their thoughts are?
He has, the assessments are even bigger, in
Others?
Bethel.
That was bigger.
Yeah, about double, almost roughly double
They have a
Yeah.
lot more kids. And
yeah, and it's kind of like, so,
What are their feelings? I mean, what's the town people feel like?
I just,
it's hard to say. I'm not on social media. I expect those kinds of things come out on social media. Or,
no, I haven't seen it much though.
Nobody's talking too much about it. because I wonder how many people are aware. And if they're not aware, they're not gonna come out and vote, and
right.
then they're gonna be all angry when, if it were to pass.
But that's up to them to get to town meeting.
That's right.
You know.
That's all right. But people, I'll keep it short.
Okay, so the schools are there. It's a hot
Topic.
subject.
Yeah.
It's a hot topic, and we have,
The
Yeah.
hot mess is what it is.
we kind of, but again, a lot of their increases are like in our home budgets. There's the energy is up.
Yeah,
I think things are up big time, and
but this, unfortunately, this whole scenario will be played out again next year.
it.
And the year after.
And the year
And the
after.
year after. It's kind of like,
It has to stop.
right, we have to figure it out. And again, when we get to FY 25, that's when the fair share amendment kicks in. We don't know what that's gonna do. That's a whole wild card, but we don't know about what that will do.
What
to
is
school
the fair
budget.
share?
The fair share was also called the millionaire's tax
Oh, okay.
amendment that passed last year. So they start this,
I think, yeah, I'm
this
sorry.
year, it kicks into the tax year this year,
Yeah.
but that money's
You won't
not
see it.
available. You won't see it until you file in.
I think it's a crying shame that the state had such a surplus
And
in
then-
all of the tax money, enough to give everybody a measly couple $100. Why don't they put it to the school?
Schools.
Why don't they help the towns?
Exactly.
They make these rules, you know,
Yeah.
I am just livid. I'm sorry.
They mandate so much.
They mandate it, man, help us.
Help them.
People are suffering.
It's
This
just-
is not acceptable. It's unsustainable.
It's not, everybody's blaming the schools. It's not the schools, it's the state.
It's the schools in.
It's a combination, I'll put it that way. We have a really
Well, it's both, yes, I have.
We have a really high, how do I want to put it? Administration is very, very heavy paid. Just my opinion.
We need to, again, there's different pieces of it. When we look year over year, let me see if I still have it up. If we can,
I'd like to take a look at that balance there.
I'd like to see,
I'd like
yeah.
to see it.
so when we look year.
Oh, yeah, that's a good graph you got right there.
I did the line of the percent of the education budget versus our total budget.
Yeah.
And you can see it's in FY 17, it's just near 55%. Going into FY 24, it's gonna be near 60%. So as that budget grows, we get squeezed on town operating budget. It's kind of like, that's where that's the understanding that has to be out there, is the towns are limited. We don't have unlimited funds. There's no way.
Well, they should stop mandating things.
Yeah.
That they don't have.
It's gonna, or fully fund the mandate, like
On the mandate.
the school bus transportation is
Well, that sounds
the
like a
big one.
monopoly.
Yeah. it's kind of-
Absolutely, just if I can break in quickly.
Yeah.
The buses weren't used a couple years ago, ever. Did we ever get any money back because they didn't spend any gas? I don't think so. I mean, things like that, I mean, what's happening?
No, 2 years, you're right, 2 years ago.
They never left the parking lot, but we still paid the full bill, from what I understand. Why?
Good one.
Yep, it's kind of like, but maybe that's part of the negotiations that they have to have.
I was gonna say, I
Between the
think
school
part of
and
their contract.
Right, the contract. You know,
But in that situation that we were in, there should have been an adjustment.
Somebody got rich real quick.
right, so those are the pieces. We are at 5:34.
Oh,
I'm sorry, it's kind of like.
sorry.
The, so, yeah, we have big questions. The education lines are a hot topic. We'll need to visit that highway. Nothing,
Well, then what are we doing with the Neshoba Tech? That's two different schools.
Neshoba Tech,
They don't, yeah.
the Neshoba Tech increase was actually along the same line. It's just that the number is so much lower because our enrollment is so much less than the North Middlesex School District.
Okay.
So we also have to, when our enrollment goes up, we'll see that number, and I believe the
I think
expectation.
it's, yeah, I did hear that it was going up considerably this year.
To the tech?
I think.
Really? Yeah.
So enrollment in September 2024, which will then hit the FY 2025 budget. So we're gonna, the education lines have to be watched closely. Highway, only one item change, line 529, the pavement management program. That was reduced from 233,000 to this 210,000. So we're trying to fund it this year
We haven't
because
funded it for,
we haven't funded it for 3 years, I believe.
yeah.
We're supposed to.
Yeah, we're supposed to win this
If the
money
money was available.
if the money is available.
If it was available, yeah.
So
I
it's.
don't know who put the words in if the money's available. I forgot that part.
That was on town meeting before that came up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, so it's been adjusted down a little bit, but at least it's still in the budget for this year. So we're still pushing to try to get that. And that's the highway piece. Snow and ice is coming in. There was one change in the snow and ice budget from the Saturday. Because of the increase in the salt this year, we're expecting the same next year. And so there was an increase of $25,000 on that line. So next year, they're budgeting for 95,000. Again, something to look at on ice and snow going forward is we fund this probably more than 50% from free cash year over year. If we do a better job at budgeting, free cash may not be there to cover this deficit. So the idea is get better on budgeting what this is, but don't over budget, because on a snow and ice line, you can never back off what your highest percentage was. So we may be doing some tracking and some averages of the money, and for all the transfers that we've had, maybe take and average it out to 50% of what we're paid in the annual override warrant line. Take that, budget it into snow and ice so that we have a smaller amount of free cash needed to budget this line, but don't push it so much that we budget more than we actually spend on snow and ice removal. So it's a game. It's something to watch. May not be addressed this year, but more forward looking. And let's see, the last in the highway area is the streetlights. The energy for the streetlights. Again, because of the kilowatt hours, it's going up a little bit next year. It's going up by almost $3,000 to $17,724.
What do we got, a dozen street lamps?
I think I have one on my road.
You can have mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
free of no charge, just take it and go.
No, I saw one the other day and it was in a good position for me, so I liked it. And I'm just looking at lines that changed, for solid waste. The landfill line, and it was listed at 30.50 and it's 30.60, so there was a $10 change in the total budget. But it is now accurately reflected that the energy is 30.60 and the repair and maintenance is 30.50, 3,050. 3,060, so that's, not a big change, but picked up on it. Yep, thank you. Okay, at this point, we'll pick up, we need to pick up next week. We need to, call the meeting to an end. Could I have a motion to adjourn at 5:39?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn the meeting at 5:39.
Okay, so we're picking up at,
We're picking up at
Cemetery
Park.
Great place to pick up.
Yep. Okay, do I have a second?
Second,
Okay, and roll call vote.
Carol Mazikas, yes?
Mark Hussey, yes?
Sam Grant, yes.
John Hayes, yes. We are adjourned at 5:39.